Hello everyone. Welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Farming is not merely an act of cultivating crops. It glorifies labor, helps you develop a concern for fellow beings, and brings about a perfection to human life. Let's read the story. The grain as big as a hen's egg, and realize the importance of farming and its impact on our life and culture. One day, some children found in a ravine an object shaped like a grain of corn with a groove down the middle, but as large as a hen's egg. A traveler passing by saw it. He bought it from the children for a penny. He took it to the town and sold it to the king, as it was a curious one. The king called all his wise men and told them to find out what the thing was. The wise men thought and thought, but couldn't make head or tail out of it. A few days later, when the thing was lying on a windowsill, a hen flew in and pecked at it till she made a hole in it. Then everyone saw that it was a grain of corn. The wise men went to the king and said, "It's a grain of corn." At this the king was much surprised. He ordered the learned men to find out when and where such corn grew. The learned men pondered again and searched in their books, but could find nothing about it. So they returned to the king and said, "We can give you no answer. There is nothing about it in our books. You will have to ask the peasants. Perhaps some of them may have heard from their fathers when and where a grain grew to such a size." So the king gave orders that some very old peasants should be brought before him. His servants found one such man and brought him to the king. He was old and bent, pale and toothless. He could just manage to totter in the king's palace with the help of crutches. The king showed him the grain, but the old man could hardly see it. He took it, however, and felt it with his hands. The king questioned him, saying, "Can you tell us, old man, where such grains grew? Have you ever bought such corn or sown it in your fields?" The old man was so deaf that he could hardly hear what the king said, and only understood with great difficulty. "No," he answered at last, "I never sowed nor reaped any like this in my fields, nor did I ever buy any such. When we bought corn, the grains were always as small as they are now. But you might ask my father. He might know where such grains grew." The king sent for the old man's father, and he was brought before him. He came walking on one crutch. The king showed him the grain, and the old peasant, who was still able to see, took a good look at it. And the king asked him, "Can you tell us, old man, where corn like this used to grow? Have you ever bought anything like it or sown it in your fields?" Though the old man was rather hard of hearing, he could hear better than his son. "No," he said, "I never sowed nor reaped any grain like this in my fields. As for buying, I never bought any, for in my time money was not yet in use. Everyone grew his own corn, and when there was any need, we shared with one another. I do not know where such kind of corn grew. Ours was larger and yielded more flour than the present-day grain, but I never saw any like this. I have, however, heard my father say that in his time the grain grew larger and yielded more flour. You had better ask him." So the king sent for the old man's father. They found him and brought him before the king. He entered walking easily and without crutches. His eyes were clear, his hearing good, and he spoke distinctly. The king showed him the grain, and the old grandfather looked at it and turned it about in his hand. "It's long since I saw such a fine grain," said he, and he bit a piece off and tasted it. "It's the very same kind," he added. "Tell me, grandfather," began the king, "when and where was such corn grown? Have you ever bought any like it, or sown it in your fields?" And the old man replied, "Corn like this used to grow everywhere in my time. I lived on corn like this in the days of my youth, and fed others on it. It was such a grain that we used to sow, reap, and thresh." And the king asked, "Tell me, grandfather, did you buy it anywhere, or did you grow it all yourself?" The old man smiled. "In my time," he answered, "no one ever thought of such a sin as buying or selling bread. And we knew nothing of money. Each man had enough corn of his own." "Then tell me, grandfather," asked the king, "where was your field? Where did you grow corn like this?" And the grandfather answered, "My field was God's earth. Wherever I ploughed, it was my field. Land was free. It was a thing no man called his own. Labor was the only thing men called their own." "Answer me 2 more questions," said the king. "The first is, why did the earth bear such grain then, and has ceased to do so now? And the second is, why does your grandson walk with 2 crutches, your son with 1, and you yourself with none? Your eyes are bright, your teeth sound, and your speech clear and pleasant to ear. How have these things come about?" And the old man answered, "These things are so, because men have ceased to live by their own labor, and have taken to depending on the labor of others. In olden times, men lived according to God's law. They had what was their own, and coveted not what others had produced." And that's the end of the story, written by Leo Tolstoy. We hope you found it interesting. For more useful videos, please subscribe to our channel, Brain Blitz Audios. We have uploaded many stories here at Brain Blitz Audios. Some of the links are given in the description down below. Please do visit the links and enjoy more stories. See you soon. Bye bye.